Welcome to the most complete guide to the IGNOU MBA Project Synopsis. In this masterclass, we cover everything you need for MMPP-001. What the synopsis is, the exact format with all 8 sections, 4 complete sample synopses across HR, marketing, finance and operations, how to write strong objectives and methodology, the project guide requirement, the full approval process, and the mistakes that get a synopsis rejected. By the end, you will be able to write an approval-ready synopsis yourself. This is brought to you by BK Sahni, founder of IGNOUproject.com, and Sri Chakrada Publication, guiding IGNOU students since 2010. Use the chapters in the description to jump to your section. Let's begin with the basics. What exactly is the IGNOU MBA Project Synopsis? The IGNOU MBA Project Synopsis is a short, structured plan of your MMPP-001 project, usually 5 to 10 pages, that you submit to your regional center for approval before you start your research and report. In simple words, it is the blueprint of your project. It tells IGNOU 3 things clearly: what you intend to study, why this study is worth doing, and how you will carry it out. Once your regional center formally approves this blueprint, and only then are you allowed to begin your full project report. Now, many students get confused between 3 words: synopsis, proposal, and project report. So let's clear that up. The synopsis and the proposal are the same thing. IGNOU often calls it the project proposal, but students commonly call it the synopsis. Both refer to that 5 to 10 page plan you submit for approval. The project report, on the other hand, is the big final document, usually around 12,000 to 15,000 words across 5 chapters, that you write after your synopsis is approved. So remember this order: first the synopsis or proposal for approval, and then, after approval, the full project report. In this video, our entire focus is the synopsis, the first and most important step. So why is the synopsis so important? Why are we spending a full masterclass on just this one document? There are 3 solid reasons. First, without an approved synopsis, you simply cannot start. IGNOU does not accept a project report whose synopsis was never approved or whose topic differs from the approved one. The synopsis is your permission slip. Second, a weak or wrongly formatted synopsis is the single biggest cause of delay in the MBA project. If your synopsis is rejected or sent back for correction, you can easily lose an entire session, 6 full months, waiting for the next approval cycle. And third, a good synopsis makes the rest of your project easier. When your objectives and methodology are clear and approved, writing the final report becomes a matter of execution, not guesswork. A strong synopsis is half your project done. Here is what approval actually means in practice. When you submit your synopsis with your guide's signature and bio data to your regional center, an evaluator checks whether your topic suits your specialization, whether your objectives are clear, and whether your methodology is workable. If everything is in order, you receive a formal approval, usually within 4 to 6 weeks. And you keep that approval letter safely, because you will need it at final submission and at the Viva. If something is wrong, the synopsis comes back with remarks and you must correct and resubmit. Our entire goal in this video is to get you approved on the first attempt. So that is the foundation. Now let's get into the real detail. And we start with the exact format of the IGNOU MBA Project Synopsis, section by section. Now let's go through the IGNOU MBA Project Synopsis format. section by section. There are 8 sections in a standard MMPP-001 synopsis, and we will look at each one. What it is, what to write, how long it should be, and the common errors to avoid. Get these right and approval becomes easy. Section 1. The project title. The title is the first thing your evaluator reads, so it must be clear and specific. A strong title names 3 things: the variable you are studying, the outcome you are measuring, and the setting where you study it. For example, instead of a vague title like Employee Motivation, a strong title is A Study on the Impact of Employee Motivation on Productivity at a Selected Manufacturing Unit. Keep it to 1 or 2 lines, avoid fancy words, and make sure it matches your specialization. Section 2. The Introduction and Background. This section sets the context of your study in about half a page to 1 page. Start by briefly defining your main concept. For example, what employee motivation means, and then give a short background on why this area is relevant today. Do not copy long paragraphs from textbooks. 2 or 3 clear original paragraphs are enough. The goal is simply to show the evaluator that you understand your topic and where it fits. Section 3. The rationale, also called the justification of the study. This is where you answer one question. Why is this study needed? A good rationale points to a real gap or a real problem. For example, you might write that a particular company faces high employee turnover, so understanding what motivates its staff can help reduce that turnover. The rationale convinces the evaluator that your project has a genuine purpose and is not just a textbook exercise. Keep it focused. One strong paragraph that clearly states the need and the benefit of your study. Section 4. The objectives of the study. This is one of the most important sections because your entire project will be built around these objectives. Keep them few, usually 3 to 4, and make each one clear and measurable. Begin each objective with an action verb, such as to study, to examine, to analyze, or to suggest. For example, to study the level of employee motivation at the selected company. To examine the relationship between motivation and productivity, and to suggest measures to improve motivation. Avoid vague objectives like to understand employees, and avoid having 10 objectives. That makes your project unmanageable. 3 sharp, measurable objectives are far better than many loose ones. So those are the first 4 sections: title, introduction and background, rationale and objectives. Notice how each one builds on the last. The title names the study, the introduction gives context, the rationale justifies it, and the objectives define exactly what you will achieve. In the next section, we cover the remaining 4. Methodology, limitations, the chapter plan and references. And methodology is the one your evaluator will check most closely. Let's continue with the remaining sections of the IGNOU MBA Project Synopsis. Section 5. The Research Methodology. This is the section evaluators examine most closely because it shows whether your study is actually doable. A complete methodology answers 5 questions. 1. What is your research design? Is it descriptive, exploratory, or analytical? For most MBA projects, descriptive is the safe choice. 2. Who is your population and what is your sample? For example, 100 employees of a selected company. 3. What sampling method will you use, such as convenience or random sampling? 4. How will you collect data? Through primary sources like a structured questionnaire or interviews, and secondary sources like company records and reports. And 5. How will you analyze the data? Using percentages, frequency tables, charts, averages, or simple correlation. When all 5 are clearly stated, your methodology is approval ready. Section 6. The limitations of the study. Here you honestly state the boundaries of your project. For example, that the study is limited to one company, that the sample is only 100 respondents, or that the time period is short. Stating limitations does not weaken your synopsis. It shows academic maturity. Keep it to 3 or 4 honest points. Section 7. The chapter plan. This one is optional, but it is good to include. Simply list the chapters your final report will have, typically Chapter 1, Introduction, Chapter 2, Review of Literature, Chapter 3, Research Methodology, Chapter 4, Data Analysis and Interpretation, and Chapter 5, Conclusions and Recommendations. This shows the evaluator that you have already planned your full report. Section 8. The references or bibliography. List the books, journals, and websites you plan to use, preferably in APA format. Even 3 to 5 good references in your synopsis signal that you have done your background reading. We will look at APA format in detail later in this video. So that completes all 8 sections: title, introduction and background, rationale, objectives, methodology, limitations, chapter plan and references. Now before your sections comes the front page, the title page of your synopsis. And it must follow a fixed format. The title page should clearly show from top to bottom the full project title, the words Synopsis for the MBA Project, MMPP-001, your name and enrollment number, your program, which is MBA, along with your specialization, the name of your project guide, your study center and regional center, and the session and year. Use a clean, formal layout, typically Times New Roman font, with no decorative colors, borders, or images. A neat, correctly labeled title page makes a strong first impression on your evaluator. With the format and title page clear, the next big question is, how do you choose a topic that gets approved? That is what we tackle next. Choosing the right topic is the decision that makes or breaks your IGNOU MBA Project synopsis. A good topic gets approved quickly and is easy to research. A bad topic gets rejected or makes your work impossible. So let's go through the 5 rules of a synopsis-ready topic. Rule 1. Match your specialization. Your topic must clearly belong to your MBA stream, human resource, marketing, finance, or operations. A finance student cannot submit a human resource topic, and a marketing student cannot submit an operations topic. IGNOU checks this, and a mismatch is an instant rejection. So always start by asking, does this topic clearly sit inside my specialization? Rule 2. Be specific, not broad. A broad topic like consumer behavior is too wide to research in one project. Narrow it using a simple formula: variable plus population plus place. For example, turn consumer behavior into a study of consumer buying behavior towards organic food products among working women in Delhi. Now it is specific, focused, and researchable. The narrower and clearer your topic, the easier your whole project becomes. Rule 3. Make sure data is available. Before you finalize the topic, ask yourself one practical question. Can I actually collect data for this? If your topic needs a survey, can you reach 100 respondents? If it needs company financial data, can you get those reports? If the data is not realistically available to you, change the topic now, not after approval. Many students choose an impressive sounding topic and then get stuck because they cannot collect any data. Rule 4. Be original. IGNOU runs plagiarism checks and rejects copied or repeated topics. including old titles taken from the internet or from previous students. So never copy a ready-made title word for word. Take inspiration but frame your own topic in your own words, ideally tied to a company or location you can actually study. Originality protects you from rejection. Rule 5. Avoid controversial or sensitive subjects. Choose topics that are academically acceptable and professionally neutral. Stay away from politically or personally sensitive themes. A clean, business-focused topic is always the safer choice for approval. And here is a bonus tip. Always shortlist 3 or 4 possible topics rather than fixing on just one. Take that shortlist to your guide and discuss feasibility. Your guide may suggest narrowing, merging, or adjusting a topic to make it stronger and easier to approve. Now that you know how to build the format and choose a topic, let's make all of this concrete. In the next 4 sections, I will give you 4 complete sample synopses, one each for human resource, marketing, finance, and operations, fully worked out so you can model your own synopsis on the one that matches your stream. We begin with human resource. Sample synopsis 1. Human resource specialization. Let's build a complete approval-ready synopsis from start to finish, section by section. If you are an HR student, you can model your synopsis directly on this. First, the title. A study on the impact of employee engagement on productivity at a selected information technology company. Notice it follows our formula. The variable is employee engagement, the outcome is productivity, and the setting is a selected IT company. Specific and clear. Next, the introduction and background. Employee engagement refers to the emotional commitment an employee has towards their organization and its goals. Engaged employees tend to work harder, stay longer, and contribute more. In the fast-growing Indian IT sector, where skilled employees are in high demand, engagement has become a key driver of performance. This study looks at how engagement affects productivity in one selected IT company. Now, the rationale. The IT industry faces high attrition and intense competition for talent. When employees are disengaged, productivity falls and turnover rises, which is costly for the company. By understanding the link between engagement and productivity, this study can help the company design better engagement practices, improve output, and retain its people. This gives the study a clear, practical purpose. Next, the objectives. We keep them to 3, clear and measurable. 1, to study the current level of employee engagement at the selected IT company. 2, to examine the relationship between employee engagement and productivity. And 3, to suggest practical measures to improve engagement and, in turn, productivity. Now the most important section, the research methodology. The research design is descriptive. The population is the employees of the selected IT company. And the sample is 100 employees chosen by convenient sampling. Primary data will be collected through a structured questionnaire using a 5-point rating scale, and secondary data will come from company HR records and published reports. For analysis, the study will use percentages, frequency tables, bar charts, and simple correlation to test the relationship between engagement and productivity. Then, the limitations. The study is limited to a single IT company and a sample of 100 employees, so the findings may not apply to the entire industry. The study is also limited by the short time period available for data collection. And finally, the references. List 3 to 5 sources in APA format. For example, a human resource management textbook, a research journal article on employee engagement, and a relevant industry report. And that is a complete HR synopsis. Title, introduction, rationale, 3 objectives, a full methodology, limitations and references. If you simply replace the company and the variable with your own, you have an approval-ready human resource synopsis. Next, we build a marketing sample. Sample Synopsis 2. Marketing specialization. Again, we build it section by section, so marketing students can model their synopsis on this. First, the title. A study on the impact of social media advertising on the purchase behavior of young consumers in urban India. The variable is social media advertising, the outcome is purchase behavior, and the population and setting are young consumers in urban India. Specific and researchable. Next, the introduction and background. Social media advertising has become one of the most powerful tools brands use to reach consumers. Platforms now influence what young people notice, prefer, and buy. As more Indian brands shift their budgets to social media, it has become important to understand how this advertising actually affects buying decisions. This study examines that influence among young urban consumers. Now, the rationale. Brands spend heavily on social media advertising, but many are unsure how much it truly drives purchases compared to traditional advertising. By studying how social media advertising affects the purchase behavior of young consumers, this study can help marketers spend their budgets more effectively and design campaigns that genuinely convert interest into sales. Next, the objectives. 3 clear and measurable. 1. To study the level of exposure of young consumers to social media advertising. 2. To examine the relationship between social media advertising and purchase behavior. And 3. To suggest ways brands can make their social media advertising more effective. Now, the research methodology. The research design is descriptive. The population is young consumers between 18 and 30 years of age in urban areas, and the sample is 100 respondents selected by convenient sampling. Primary data will be collected through a structured questionnaire, and secondary data will come from marketing journals, brand reports, and published surveys. The data will be analyzed using percentages, frequency tables, pie charts, and simple correlation to study the link between advertising exposure and buying behavior. Then, the limitations. The study is limited to 100 young urban respondents, so results may not represent rural consumers or older age groups. Responses also depend on what participants self-report, which can carry some bias. And finally, the references. Include 3 to 5 sources in APA format. For example, a marketing management textbook, a journal article on digital advertising, and a recent report on social media usage in India. That completes a full marketing synopsis. Replace the platform, product, or city with your own focus, and it becomes your approval-ready marketing synopsis. Next, we move to a finance sample. Sample Synopsis 3. Finance specialization. Finance projects work a little differently because they often use secondary data such as company financial statements rather than a survey. Let's build a complete finance synopsis section by section. First, the title. A study on the financial performance of a selected company using ratio analysis. The variable is financial performance, the method is ratio analysis, and the setting is a selected company. You would name the actual company in your real synopsis. For example, a selected automobile company. Next, the introduction and background. Financial performance shows how well a company uses its resources to earn profit and create value. Ratio analysis is a widely used tool that converts figures from the balance sheet and profit and loss account into meaningful ratios, such as liquidity, profitability, and solvency ratios. This study analyses the financial performance of a selected company over a 5-year period using these ratios. Now, the rationale. Investors, managers, and lenders all need to understand a company's financial health before making decisions. By analyzing a company's key financial ratios over several years, this study can reveal trends in profitability and stability, and help judge whether the company is financially sound. This makes the study practical and decision useful. Next, the objectives. 3. Clear and measurable. 1. To study the financial performance of the selected company over the last 5 years. 2. To analyze its liquidity, profitability and solvency using ratio analysis. And 3. To suggest measures to improve the company's financial performance. Now, the research methodology. The research design is analytical because we analyze existing financial data. This study relies mainly on secondary data, the audited annual reports, balance sheets, and profit and loss accounts of the selected company for the last 5 financial years, taken from the company's published reports. The tools of analysis are financial ratios, such as the current ratio, net profit ratio, and debt-equity ratio, along with trend analysis presented through tables and graphs. Then, the limitations. The study is based only on published secondary data, which has its own limitations of accuracy and timing. It covers a 5-year period and a single company, so the conclusions may not apply to the whole industry. And finally, the references. List 3 to 5 sources in APA format. For example, a financial management textbook, the company's annual reports, and a journal article on ratio analysis. That completes a full finance synopsis. Notice how it leaned on secondary data and ratio tools instead of a survey. Replace the company and the ratios with your own focus, and you have an approval-ready finance synopsis. Next, we build an operation sample. Sample Synopsis 4. Operation Specialization. Operations projects often study processes, quality, or service delivery. Let's build a complete operation synopsis. First, the title. A study on service quality and its impact on customer satisfaction in the banking sector. The variable is service quality, the outcome is customer satisfaction, and the setting is the banking sector. You could narrow it further to a selected bank or city in your real synopsis. Next, the introduction and background. Service quality is the gap between what customers expect and what they actually experience. In service industries like banking, quality directly affects customer satisfaction and loyalty. With strong competition between banks, delivering consistently high service quality has become essential. This study examines how service quality affects customer satisfaction in the banking sector. Now, the rationale. Banks compete not just on products but on service experience. Poor service drives customers away, while good service builds loyalty. By measuring the dimensions of service quality and linking them to satisfaction, this study can help banks identify weak areas and improve the way they serve customers. This gives the study a clear operational purpose. Next, the objectives. 3. Clear and measurable. 1. To study the level of service quality offered by the selected bank. 2. To examine the relationship between service quality and customer satisfaction. And 3. To suggest measures to improve service quality and customer satisfaction. Now the research methodology. The research design is descriptive. The population is the customers of the selected bank, and the sample is 100 customers chosen by convenience sampling. Primary data will be collected through a structured questionnaire based on standard service quality dimensions, such as reliability, responsiveness, assurance, empathy, and tangibles. Secondary data will come from bank reports and service quality literature. The analysis will use percentages, frequency tables, charts, and simple correlation between service quality and satisfaction. Then, the limitations. The study is limited to one bank and 100 customers, so the findings may not represent the entire banking sector. Customer responses are self-reported and may carry some personal bias. And finally, the references. Include 3 to 5 sources in APA format. For example, an operations or services management textbook, a journal article on service quality, and a relevant banking sector report. That completes all 4 sample synopses: human resource, marketing, finance, and operations. You now have a ready model for every MBA specialization. Next, let's sharpen the 2 sections that decide approval the most: objectives and methodology, starting with objectives. Let's go deeper into objectives because weak objectives are one of the top reasons synopses get sent back. A good set of objectives makes your whole project clear and easy to evaluate. What makes an objective strong? 3 things. First, it begins with an action verb. To study, to examine, to analyze, to assess, to compare, or to suggest. Second, it is measurable, meaning you can actually achieve and show it through your data. And third, it ties directly to your title. If your title is about engagement and productivity, every objective should relate to engagement or productivity. Nothing unrelated. Now let's compare weak and strong objectives. A weak objective is to understand employees. It is vague. What will you measure and how? A strong version is to examine the relationship between employee engagement and productivity. It is specific and measurable. Another weak one is to know about marketing. A strong version is to study the impact of social media advertising on consumer purchase behavior. Always convert a vague idea into a precise, measurable statement. And keep the number right. 3 to 4 objectives is ideal. 2 may be too thin, and more than 5 makes your project unmanageable and harder to approve. Usually 1 objective studies the current situation, 1 examines a relationship, and 1 suggests improvements. That simple pattern works across every specialization. Now here is a quick objectives bank you can adapt to your stream. For human resource, to study the level of employee motivation at the selected company, to examine its effect on employee performance, and to suggest measures to improve motivation. For marketing, to study consumer awareness of a selected brand, to examine the factors influencing their buying decision, and to suggest ways to strengthen brand preference. For finance, to study the financial performance of the selected company, to analyze its profitability and liquidity through ratio analysis, and to suggest measures to improve financial performance. For operations, to study the service quality of the selected organization, to examine its impact on customer satisfaction, and to suggest measures to improve service delivery. Use these as templates. Keep the structure, change the variable and the setting to fit your own topic, and your objectives will be clear, measurable, and approval ready. Now, on to the section evaluators study most carefully: the research methodology. Now let's master the research methodology, because this is the section that decides whether your study is judged workable. A strong methodology has 5 clear building blocks. Let's take each one. Building block 1, the research design. This is the overall approach of your study. There are 3 common types for MBA projects. Descriptive design describes the situation as it is. For example, the level of employee satisfaction. This is the most common and the safest choice. Exploratory design explores a new or unclear problem to gain insights. And analytical design analyses existing data, such as financial statements, to reach conclusions. For most survey-based projects, choose descriptive. For finance projects using reports, choose analytical. Building block 2, population, and sample. The population is the entire group you are interested in. For example, all employees of a company. The sample is the smaller group you will actually study. For example, 100 of those employees. State both clearly. A sample of around 100 respondents is typical and manageable for an MBA project. Building block 3. The sampling method. This is how you select your sample. Convenience sampling means choosing respondents who are easily available. It is simple and widely used. Random sampling gives everyone an equal chance and is more rigorous. Stratified sampling divides the population into groups, such as departments, and samples from each. For most projects, convenience sampling is acceptable, so just name the method you will use. Building block 4. Data collection. Data is of two kinds. Primary data is collected first-hand, usually through a structured questionnaire, and sometimes through interviews or observation. Secondary data already exists, such as company records, annual reports, journals, and websites. Most projects combine both. A questionnaire for primary data, supported by reports for secondary data. State exactly what tools you will use. Building block 5. Data analysis. This is how you will make sense of your data. For most MBA projects, simple tools are enough. Percentages, frequency tables, bar charts and pie charts, averages, and simple correlation to test relationships between two variables. For finance projects, the tools are financial ratios and trend analysis. You do not need advanced statistics. Clear, correct, simple analysis is what evaluators expect. So remember the 5 building blocks of methodology: design, population and sample, sampling method, data collection, and data analysis. When you state all 5 clearly in your synopsis, your methodology looks professional and gets approved. A vague or missing methodology, on the other hand, is one of the fastest ways to get sent back for correction. Next, let's quickly cover how to list your references correctly, and then move to the project guide and the approval process. Let's quickly handle references, and then the project guide. References show that your study is grounded in real reading, and the preferred style is APA format. Here is how the 3 common sources look. For a book, write the author's surname and initials, the year in brackets, the title of the book, and the publisher. For a journal article, write the author, the year, the title of the article, the name of the journal, and the volume and page numbers. And for a website, write the author or organization, the year, the title of the page, and the web address. You do not need many references in a synopsis. 3 to 5 good, correctly formatted sources are enough to show you have done your background work. Now, a crucial requirement for approval: the project guide, also called the supervisor. Your synopsis cannot be approved without an eligible guide, and the guide signature and bio data must go with it. So let's understand who qualifies. Who can be your guide? An eligible guide is one of 2 things: either an academic counselor approved by IGNOU for the MBA program, or a qualified professional who holds a master's degree in management, such as an MBA, and has at least 5 years of managerial experience. Faculty members of recognized management institutes are also acceptable. Who cannot be your guide? Someone with only a bachelor's degree, a fresher without managerial experience, or a person whose field does not match your project. For example, an information technology manager should not guide a pure finance project. The guide must match the area of your study. A finance guide for a finance project. An HR guide for an HR project. Now, what does the guide actually do, and what must you submit? Your guide helps you refine your topic. approves your synopsis, supervises your research, and signs the certificate of originality in your final report. With your synopsis, you must submit the guide's bio data, a short profile showing their qualification and experience, and the Proforma for approval of the project proposal, signed by both you and your guide. Without these, your synopsis will not be processed. A few important notes about the guide. One guide can usually supervise only a limited number of students at a time. The guide receives a small honorarium from IGNOU, generally after submission. And most importantly, once your guide and topic are approved, they should not be changed casually. So choose a guide who genuinely matches your subject and is willing to support you through to submission. So to summarize this part, format your references in APA style and attach an eligible guide's bio data and signed Proforma with your synopsis. With your sections written, your topic chosen, and your guide in place, you are ready to submit. That is exactly what we cover next. How to submit your synopsis for approval and what happens after. Your synopsis is written, your topic is chosen, and your guide is in place. Now let's submit it for approval the right way. Here is exactly what you submit. 1. A printed copy of your complete synopsis with the correct title page. 2. The Proforma for approval of the project proposal, signed by both you and your guide. And 3. Your guide's biodata showing their qualification and managerial experience. These 3 documents travel together as one set. Where do you send this set? You submit it to your regional center, not directly to headquarters. Some regional centers accept the synopsis by post, and many now accept it by email. The exact method depends on your center's current policy. So before you send anything, contact your regional center or check their official page to confirm whether they want a hard copy by post or a soft copy by email. Always keep a personal copy of everything you submit. Now, the approval process. Once your regional center receives your synopsis, an evaluator reviews it. The approval window is usually 4 to 6 weeks, so submit early, well before your project deadline. If your synopsis is approved, you will receive a formal approval, an approval letter or email, and only then should you begin your full research and report. If there is a problem, the synopsis comes back with remarks, and you simply correct those specific points and resubmit for reapproval. One very important habit: the moment you receive your approval letter, save it carefully, both a digital copy and a print. You will need this approval letter again at the time of final report submission, and possibly at your viva. Students who lose their approval letter often face avoidable delays, so protect it. Now, the golden rules after approval, and these are critical. Rule 1. Do not change your approved topic. If you change the title or subject after approval, your final project can be rejected because it will not match the approved synopsis. Rule 2. Do not change your objectives or methodology either. Build your entire report on exactly what was approved. Rule 3. Keep to the timeline. Submit your synopsis early so that, after the 4 to 6 week approval window, you still have enough time to complete your report before the submission deadline of your session. To summarize, submit your synopsis with the signed Proforma and guide biodata to your regional center. Wait 4 to 6 weeks for approval, save your approval letter, and then build your report faithfully on the approved plan without changing the topic. Follow this, and the approval stage becomes smooth and stress-free. Next, let's look at the 10 most common mistakes that get synopses rejected, so you can avoid every one of them. Now, The 10 most common mistakes that get an IGNOU MBA Project synopsis rejected or sent back. Each one is easy to avoid once you know it. Mistake 1. A topic that does not match your specialization. The fix is simple. Always choose a topic that clearly belongs to your stream. Human resource, marketing, finance, or operations. Mistake 2. A vague or overly broad title. A title like, "A study of marketing is too wide." The fix. Narrow it using variable, population, and place so it becomes specific and researchable. Mistake 3. Vague or too many objectives. 10 loose objectives confuse the evaluator. The fix. Keep 3 to 4 clear, measurable objectives, each beginning with an action verb. Mistake 4. A weak or missing methodology. This is one of the biggest reasons for rejection. The fix. Clearly state all 5 building blocks. Design, sample, sampling method, data collection and analysis. Mistake 5. A copied or old synopsis. IGNOU checks for plagiarism and rejects duplicated topics and titles taken from the internet or previous students. The fix. Write an original synopsis in your own words, ideally tied to a company or place you can actually study. Mistake 6. Missing the guide's signature or bio data. A synopsis without the signed Proforma and the guide's bio data is incomplete. The fix. Attach both before you submit. Mistake 7. An ineligible or mismatched guide. A guide without the required qualification or experience, or whose field does not match your project, can cause rejection. The fix. Choose an IGNOU approved counselor or a master's qualified professional with at least 5 years of managerial experience in your subject area. Mistake 8. Starting the report before approval or changing the topic after approval. Both lead to rejection. The fix. Wait for formal approval before you begin, and never change the approved title, objectives, or methodology. Mistake 9. Formatting errors and missing sections. A wrong title page or a synopsis missing required sections like objectives or methodology gets sent back. The fix. Include all 8 sections and use the correct, formal title page format. Mistake 10. Submitting late and missing the approval window. If you submit your synopsis too close to the deadline, you may not get approval in time and you lose a whole session. The fix. Submit early, ideally a couple of months before your project deadline. So the 4 to 6 week approval window still leaves you time to write the report. Avoid these 10 mistakes, and your synopsis has a very strong chance of approval on the first attempt. Now, before we close, let's connect the synopsis to the bigger picture and then answer the 20 questions students ask most. Remember, the synopsis is only stage 1 of your MBA project. Once it is approved, stage 2 begins. The full project report, with its 5 chapters, literature review, data analysis, formatting, and final submission to your regional center. For the complete report format, the full list of project topics by specialization, and the step-by-step submission process, watch our full IGNOU MBA Project guide, linked in the description and on the screen now. This video has given you a fully approval-ready synopsis. That one takes you all the way to final submission. Now let's answer the 20 most common questions students ask about the IGNOU MBA Project synopsis. Question 1. How long should the synopsis be? About 5 to 10 pages. Question 2. Are the synopsis and the proposal the same thing? Yes. IGNOU calls it the project proposal. Students call it the synopsis. They are the same document. Question 3. How long does approval take? Usually 4 to 6 weeks, so submit early. Question 4. Can I change my topic after approval? No. Changing the approved topic can get your final project rejected. Question 5. Do I really need a guide's biodata? Yes. The guide's biodata and signed Proforma are required for approval. Question 6. How many objectives should I have? 3 to 4 clear, measurable objectives is ideal. Question 7. Is primary data compulsory? Not always. Survey-based projects use primary data, but finance projects can rely mainly on secondary data such as annual reports. Question 8. What sample size should I use? Around 100 respondents is typical and manageable for an MBA project. Question 9. What if my synopsis is rejected? You correct the specific points mentioned in the remarks and resubmit for reapproval. Question 10. Where do I submit the synopsis? To your regional center, by post or email, depending on your center's current policy. Those are the first 10. Let's continue with the remaining 10 questions and then I'll tell you how we can help you get an approval-ready synopsis. Question 11. Can I choose my own topic? Yes. You choose your own topic, but it must match your specialization and be original. Question 12. Can I base my project on the company where I work? Yes, and it is often a smart choice because data is easier to collect from a place you already have access to. Question 13. Do I submit the synopsis online or offline? It depends on your study mode and your regional center. Online MBA students often submit through the LMS portal, while distance students may submit by post or email. Always confirm with your center. Question 14. Is there a fee for the synopsis? A project submission fee applies at the project stage, so check the current fee and rules for your session on the official IGNOU website. Question 15. Can I write my synopsis in Hindi? Yes, if your MBA medium is Hindi. The structure and sections remain exactly the same. Question 16. Can 2 students submit the same topic? No. Each synopsis must be original. Identical or copied topics get rejected. Question 17. Who actually approves the synopsis? My guide or IGNOU? Your guide recommends and signs it, but the final approval comes from your regional center's evaluator. Question 18. How do I check my synopsis approval status? Follow up with your regional center and check your student portal for any project status updates. Question 19. What do I do immediately after approval? Begin your research, collect your data, and write your report exactly on the approved objectives and methodology. Question 20. Can you prepare my synopsis for me? Yes. Our team can prepare a unique, ready-to-approve synopsis for your exact topic and specialization. So if you want a unique, approval-ready IGNOU MBA project synopsis written for your topic, whether it is human resource, marketing, finance, or operations, message us on WhatsApp at +91 935 4637 830. Share your specialization and topic idea, and our team will help you. Let's quickly recap what you have learned. The synopsis is your project's approval blueprint of 5 to 10 pages. It has 8 sections: title, introduction, rationale, objectives, methodology, limitations, an optional chapter plan, and references. Choose a specific, original topic in your specialization. Write 3 to 4 measurable objectives and a clear 5-part methodology. Attach an eligible guide's biodata and signed Proforma. Submit to your regional center. Wait 4 to 6 weeks for approval, and never change the approved topic. Do all this, and your synopsis gets approved on the first attempt. That is the complete IGNOU MBA Project Synopsis Masterclass. If it helped you, please subscribe to Sri Chakradhar Education for more IGNOU project and study guides, and tell us your project topic in the comments. This is BK Sahni from IGNOUproject.com. All the best with your MBA project.